So we're here today because we're going to go into Carolyn's room in a little bit to watch her teach Unit 8, Lesson 4, which is the decompose even and odd numbers. What I want to do before we kind of get started is give you some time to process the lesson. And so when we process the lesson in a Fishbowl classroom, we look first at this overview that's in front of you on page 221. And I want you to read specifically the goals, the student learning goal, the lesson purpose, the lesson narrative. You're going to then flip ahead in the lesson and look at the lesson synthesis and the cool down. And I want you thinking about 3 overarching questions as you do this. One is, what might a student response include that shows full understanding of the learning goal? 2 is, what prior knowledge do the kids need to access this lesson? And then where is this content going? So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to kind of do that process. All right, so this is the process that Carolyn does before she even starts looking at what the warm-up or the activities or the lesson is really about. So my first question to Carolyn or to anybody that's doing this lesson internalization is always, what might a student response include that shows full understanding of the learning goal? Okay, so hopefully you're able to capture that from what you just read. And I want you to hear from Carolyn on what she thinks is the full understanding of the learning goal here.
Students will be able to identify and represent even numbers as the sum of 2 equal addends and represent that in an equation.
All right. When you think about your students, this is lesson 4 of Unit 8.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about your students and the prior knowledge that they need, either from this unit in lessons 1 through 3 or from previous grade levels or things that you've done this year, what do they need to come into the classroom kind of knowing so that they can do exactly what you just talked about doing?
Yeah, so since this is the 4th lesson, they definitely need the prior knowledge of lessons 1, 2, and 3. In lesson 1 of Unit 8, students were learning how to split quantities of objects into 2 equal groups with no leftovers or 2 equal groups with 1 leftover. In lesson 2, they expanded on that and were able to split objects into pairs with no leftovers or with 1 leftover. And then yesterday in lesson 3, they learned the official terms of even and odd and begun to see patterns when counting by 2.
And Carolyn, I'm just thinking, like, you have 2 posters over here of kind of that visual representation, right? So like you guys can see they did no leftovers and some leftovers. And what was really interesting in lesson 1 was the some leftovers, they understood that it was 1 leftover, right? And then the making of the pairs, you already knew the 1 leftover piece. I'm just thinking like you already have that visually in the room. So I'm hoping that today the kids might reference that with the words even and odd down
I
there.
definitely think they will.
Okay. Any questions about kind of full understanding or what the kids need to have to be able to access?
And how, in the previous lessons, are they grasping the concept? Like, overall, how do you feel your students are doing?
They've been doing a really good job being able to identify if a quantity is even or odd by using those 2 strategies of 2 equal groups or making pairs. One thing that they are struggling with is when we talk about making pairs, say there's 8 objects. When they make pairs, they say, oh, there's 8 pairs, instead of saying there's 4 pairs. But when they are making the pairs, they know that like 2 of the objects go together.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Which builds us into like why this lesson, like why are we introducing this in grade 2, right? It's the end of the school year, it's Unit 8, like why are we doing this topic now? So Carolyn, like where do you think this is going in grade 3?
Yeah, so even in our like part B of this unit, we start talking about arrays and the 2 equal addends is going to help them be able to write repeated addition equations for the arrays, and then being able to write repeated addition equations and making arrays directly impacts them in 3rd grade when they're introduced to multiplication.
I want to call out that Carolyn is processing all of this before she's looking at warm-ups and activities, which is something like when we think about our teachers, we want to get our teachers to be thinking about like the big picture of the lesson. what's the cool down, what's the lesson synthesis as the goal, and then let's get into like the nitty gritty of what they're kind of doing in the classroom. I think it's something that our teachers need like the support in, and has been really a unique opportunity for Fishbowl kind of classrooms. So what I want you to do now is like, let's get into the individual parts of the lesson and think about what moves Carolyn's going to make, why she's going to make the moves that we can kind of look for in our observation. That'll happen in a little bit. So on page 223, which is right after your lesson narrative, you have the kind of the green box with the warm up. I want you to read that full page, and I want you to think about why are we doing this warm up with everything that we just kind of talked about. All right, let's get into it. So the first question before we talk like logistics or anything like that, why are we doing this lesson warm up?
So this warm up is a number talk, and if you look at the expressions in the number talk, there's 6 plus 6, 7 plus 7, and 7 plus 8. As you can see, the 6 plus 6 and 7 plus 7 are expressions with 2 equal addends, which will directly relate to our activity 1 and activity 2, and the lesson goal of students being able to represent even numbers with 2 equal addends. C has 7 plus 8, so that is an expression that could be used for an odd number because it has the addends that are one less or one more than the other.
Carolyn right now is using really accurate and precise vocabulary with you, right? And so she's not saying that 6 plus 6 is doubles. She's saying that 6 plus 6 is 2 equal addends. Carolyn, do you want to explain why you're kind of using that language instead of doubles?
Yeah, well, the students have not been introduced to the word addend officially in second grade yet. So today in the lesson, my plan is to the students will probably say something like, oh, I noticed 6 plus 6, they have the same numbers. And then that's when I'm going to introduce the word addend.
Yeah, and when we think about the phrase, right, 2 equal addends, right, and we go back to how you were defining even and odd in the very first lesson.
Yeah, the 2 equal groups.
Yeah, so like when we think about some of the like slang language that we hear our teachers use, I think as like administrators and thinking about that piece, we also need to be like cognizant of the accurate and precise we want to hear, right? And so Carolyn, you're going to make a move at the end in the activity synthesis around using a word wall card.
Yeah.
Right? We created all those word wall cards. We want to be using them. I think we're going to hopefully see kind of getting that up there and how we want to kind of see the teachers use it in the future. Carolyn, what else have you changed in your practice throughout the Fishbowl course around number talks that you have now been using with your students?
Yeah, so I feel like throughout the year, like first I was using the slides, but I noticed if you look, it says like keep the expressions and work displayed, but when I'm doing the slides and I move on to B and C, the student work disappears on the TV. So I've started using chart paper for the number talk specifically so that I can record the exact student thinking and using the expressions that and the work that they tell me, and then they are able to refer back to that for the next problems.
The other thing is that we've been working on these core actions from Achieve the Core, and so in our Fishbowl classrooms, you guys have always identified one to kind of focus on and kind of ground us in. So Carolyn, what are you working on here, and what do you kind of want feedback on in our debrief later on?
Yeah, I would love feedback on the core action of D. The teacher creates the condition for student conversations where students are encouraged to talk about each other's thinkings. Students talk and ask questions about each other's thinking in order to clarify or improve their own mathematical understanding.
Today you saw a pre-brief, which happens before we go into a classroom and we do an observation. And in that pre-brief, the teacher that we're gonna observe the classroom of is the one that's really sharing with us what's happening. So you saw today, we dove deeply into the warm-up, and the teacher was able to provide us with some of the moves she's gonna be making in the warm-up and why she's making those moves. And so that allows the observers to really look for those moves and look for what the student outcomes are as a result of those moves.
Let's represent even and odd numbers. You can repeat after me. Let's represent even and odd numbers.
Even and odd numbers.
Our warm-up today is a number talk. So we're going to do it on our poster here. Okay. You can see the expression 6 plus 6. I want you to take a moment and think about how you would find the value of 6 plus 6 and give me a thumbs up when you are ready to share. Okay. Who would like to share the value of 6 plus 6? Okay, Liam T.
12.
Okay, and can you tell us how did you think about that in your brain?
I use my finger to count. First I started with 6 and then I use my finger to count to 6.
Okay, so you started with 6 and you counted on 6 more?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Did somebody have a different strategy?
I think
Helen?
I put 6 points and another 6 points that I don't know.
So you made a picture of some dots in your head like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what did you do?
Then I put another 6.
Good. Where did the other 6 go? Did they go here or did they go underneath? Underneath, okay. So we did 6. Count with me. 6 plus, plus 6 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what did you do, Helen?
Then I count all of them and then I get to
12. Good job. Does anybody see how A and B are similar? Lewis?
They both equal even.
Oh, okay, so you're looking at the total and they both equal an even number. Love how you're using a word from our vocabulary wall. What else do we notice about A and B of how they're similar? Brenda?
The A and B, so when you look at 6 plus 6, it equals 12. And when you plus another 2, it equals 14. And when you plus a 1 equals 15.
Yeah. Good job. 6 and 6. 7 and 7. What do you notice? Swenson?
6 and 6 are the same number, and 7 and 7 are the same number.
Yeah. So both of these expressions A and B, they have the same addend. Okay? So 6 and 6 is an addend, and that is a new word that we're learning today. So we're going to learn a new math vocabulary word today. It's called addend. Can you repeat after me? Addend.
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 So if you look at this equation, we have 10 equals 6 plus 4. It's an addition equation. And the 6 and the 4 are called addends because we're adding them together. So if we look at A, what are our two addends in A? Amina? 6 and 6. So we have equal addends. If we look at B, what are the addends in B? Blake, what are the addends in B? Good, so we have two equal addends. How many friends does he have again? 2. So I'm going to have friend 1. Oh, I'm going to change my color. Okay, so friend 1 and friend 2. How should I go about trying to figure out, can each friend get an even amount of stickers. What do you think I should do? Danielle.
So I would draw the 12 dots, and
Okay.
then I would go. Then I would take 2 and give 1 to friend 1 and 1 to friend 2, and then I see a 10, and so I'll split the 10 into 5. Then I'll give a 5 to friend 1, and then I'll give a 5 to friend 2.
Okay, so you were kind of talking about if we had counters, we could put them in different groups. We're going to put our 12 stickers into 2 different groups. Our groups are friend 1 and friend 2. You guys want to count with me?
Yes.
Okay, friend 1 gets 1 sticker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ooh, why did I stop at 12? Donovan, why did I stop at 12?
Because we only have 12 stickers.
We only have 12 stickers. Okay, so now we have 2 equal groups. How many stickers does each friend get?
6.
Liam T, how many stickers did each friend get? 6. We have 6 here and 6 here. Could we write an equation to match what we have just shown here? Helen? We can do 6 plus 6 equals 12. The 12 stickers that Karan started with. So you're going to have some time to work independently. You have the same story problem. Karan has 12 stickers. He wants to give them all to 2 friends. You're going to show different ways his friends can share the stickers. Can both friends get the same number of stickers? Can both friends get an even number of stickers? Can both friends get an odd number of stickers? And can one friend get an even number of stickers and the other friend get an odd number of stickers? I will pass out counters. Okay, what are you going to do here to try and figure out if both friends can get odd stickers? So I put some sentence frames on the board for us that you can use when you're talking with your partner. So I'm going to read one and then we are going to read it together. Our equations are the same because. Let's read it all together so we can practice using it.
Our equations are the same because.
We can also say our equations are different because. So let's read that together.
Our equations are different because.
So when you're talking to your partner today and looking at each other's work, you're thinking about how are our equations the same and how are they different. I will give you 5 minutes of partner talk, and it's okay if you didn't finish. Just talk about the ones that you have finished.
Our equations are the same because you have 6 here, 2 6, and I have 2 6, and here 2 6, and I have 2 6. Então, Georgie, so 10 and 4 together is equal 14. Então, e 4 é even number e 10 é even number. Então, se 2 even numbers are together, vai ser outro even number. Então vai ser even.
So Aaron, were you saying that the add-in 10 is even?
Yeah.
And the add-in 4 is even?
So like
the 10 and the 4 is even. So even plus even is another even number.
What do you notice about the add-ends for the even numbers? What do you notice about these add-ends? And if you forget what an add-end is, here's our vocabulary card. Helen, what do you notice about the add-ends for the even numbers?
I noticed they have like two numbers same, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Yes. Who can repeat what Helen said in their own words? Actually, Helen, can you say it a little bit louder? I heard you, but I don't think everybody did. Can you repeat it one more time?
There's like they're both same numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Great. Who can repeat what Helen just told us? Lena.
She said that I forgot.
You forgot. Okay, who can help Lena out? Donovan.
So in the even, it's basically it goes 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5.
Who can use our new math vocabulary word add-ends to explain what you noticed for the even numbers? Brenda.
That the even numbers by the one of the sides, it's counting by ones, and they also are added.
Okay, so let's look at this equation right here. 6 equals 3 plus 3. What are the add-ends in 6 equals 3 plus 3, Swenson? 3 and 3. So what do you notice about the add-ends in that equation, Swenson? Good. So Helen was telling us that even numbers can have 2 equal add-ends. Everybody say that with me. Even numbers.
Even numbers
can have 2 equal add-ends. Is there an even or odd number of dots? Explain. So you need to be able to prove it to me. Is there an even or odd number of dots? Okay, everybody, I want you to whisper the word even or odd. Which one do you think it is? All right, who can raise their hand? I heard lots of evens. Who can raise their hand and tell me why do you think the dots are even? Blake. There's no leftovers. Can you come up and show us how you grouped them or how you paired them to prove that there's no leftovers? Is Blake using 2 equal groups or is he using pairs?
Pairs.
Pairs. Great. What is an equation that we can write to represent these dots? Aaron C.
It represents the number 8.
It represents the number 8 because we have how many dots?
4 and the 4 and 8 is an even number.
Okay, can you come up and show us where you see 4 and 4? Oh, I wasn't thinking of seeing 4 and 4 that way, but you're right.
I said it like that.
You saw it that way too? Okay, so we have a group of 4 here. Keep going, where's the other group of 4?
Right here.
Okay, so what equation could we write?
4 plus 4 equals 8.
4 plus 4 equals 8. I noticed something about the add-ends. Do you notice something about these add-ins?
They're the
Yeah.
same.
They're the same.
They are the same.
The debrief process, again, is a protocol. We come in and we spend time to collect our thoughts. We then do a whip around of some glows so that the teacher is able to build her confidence before she's asked to kind of reflect out loud and be vulnerable. We then ask clarifying questions. The purpose of the clarifying questions is to make sure that all factual answers are answered before we have a conversation where the teacher is not supposed to jump in. The teacher is supposed to sit back, listen for 10 or 15 minutes, really free up their brain space so that they don't have to respond, kind of listen and observe and gather and respond to whatever they want to respond to. They don't need an answer for everything we talk about in those 10 or 15 minutes. We then provide the teacher with some time to reflect out. And then our final thing is what is the action steps that everybody that's been part of this process going to take away? So we just saw Carolyn teach grade 2, unit 8, lesson 4. Great job. Let's take a breath.
Thank you.
Before we get started, we're going to follow our Fishbowl Learning Walk debrief protocol as if we were a full Fishbowl team here today. So I want everybody to just take a couple minutes to really gather your notes, specifically refocus yourself on core action 3, D that Carolyn asked us to look for and provide feedback on. As observers, where I try to identify one glow that we're going to do a quick whip around and share. And Carolyn, you have times to kind of reflect on what was your strengths, what are your opportunities of growth, what worked, what didn't work in your lesson. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give us about 3 or 4 minutes for this.
First of all, Carolyn, nice job. One of the things I was really impressed with your students' thinking is they referred back. So in the warm-up, the number talk, one of your students said, 6 plus 6 is 12, and then 2 more is 14, and 1 more is 15. Well, during activity 1, one of your students said, when name the student said, remember when she said to add 1 more to friend 1, then it's not even, not equal groups. So they really pulled from that warm-up, that number talk, and listened to what strategy their friends used. So that was impressive.
Thanks for catching that
Yeah.
during the partner work.
You didn't hear that?
No.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So they were doing it without you present, which is
Yeah.
even stronger. In your activity synthesis for activity 2, as you're thinking about creating the conditions for kids to talk to each other, you did a really strong move where you kind of had the kids repeat and rephrase. It was the student H kind of shared their thinking. First of all, you asked her to say it again because it wasn't loud enough for all students to hear, which I think is really important. And then you asked who can repeat in their own words. A kid gave a response, right? You still weren't getting exactly what you wanted. And so you asked again, who can repeat it and rephrase it in their own words. And so kids are now commenting on the reasoning of the others, right? And building off of each other. And I'm just thinking about at the beginning of the year when you were asking, getting these kids to use these sentence frames, they did it on their own here.
Yeah, I don't even need to refer to the poster.
But it's internal now.
Yeah.
So it's naturally happening. And so you're at a point where I would say, if I'm thinking about that core to action, you're at a point where we're seeing it, many opportunities, and most kids are taking it, which is that high level piece that we want. So great job.
Thank you.
So we're going to give Carolyn some time to kind of reflect for 3 minutes. We're going to give her the full 3 minutes of space to do this reflection piece and really think about what you think are the strengths and kind of areas of growth for yourself for the lesson. We'll only ask clarifying questions afterwards. Okay? So you have about 3 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I think overall the lesson, I think it went well. I was kind of surprised at certain student responses. For example, in the warm-up, I was expecting more students to make a 10 when solving the expressions instead of just adding on their fingers. So I was kind of thrown of how do I show this on the chart paper? And that's why I asked, does anybody else have a different way so that I could represent something for other people to refer back to? Also during the synthesis for the warm-up, when I was asking how are the expressions the same, I honestly was just assuming that they'd be like, oh, 7 and 7 are the same, 6 and 6 are the same. So when they didn't give that to me, I was like, oh, they're noticing other great things. But then that's when I needed to like ask a targeted question. And I think I did pretty well. Getting to the response that I wanted, that A and B have the same add-ins.
All right. People have factual, brief questions that you need to know answers to before we kind of fishbowl.
I do have a clarifying question. This was around I think it was before you sent them off to activity 1, a student gave you an example of how they would split the stickers. And so my clarifying question was, you changed a little bit of what she said. Was that a strategic move in that moment, or maybe?
Yeah,
do you remember what she said? I can repeat it if you need.
Yeah, it was something about like, I'll do 1 and 1, and then 5 and 5, because 5 plus 5 equals 10, and 2 plus 10 equals 12. So I thought that was like great thinking on her part to like be able to split 12 up in that way. I was just concerned that some of my other students would kind of get lost with like, how did she get 5? How did she get 5? And I really want to show them that you put 1 in one group, you put another one in the other group in that order, to try and make even groups.
Give them that strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. Thank you.
I'm just going to give you the timing, and really for us as we kind of think through this. So we started the lesson at 10:10 with the number talk, right? You finished the number talk and the number talk synthesis at 10:21. So 11 minutes, so tight on the warm up.
Yeah.
Activity 1 was 10:21 to 10:50, so about 30 minutes. It was written for 20, so a little bit longer on activity 1. Activity 2, we started at 10:50 and went till 11:05, so right on there, because that was a 15-minute activity. And then your lesson synthesis, you started at 11:05, you finished at 11:08. You were starting your cool down. So shorter on the lesson synthesis, which is what we kind of anticipated anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think that I like got the responses that I was looking for. There was no need to expand it anymore.
I completely agree with you. And I would also say, like, you started your lesson at 10:10, you finished you're passing out your cool down at 11:08, so tight on time, right? So just as we have this fishbowl conversation, we've been working on the timing. You were tight on your 60 minutes. Great job. Carolyn's going to take notes. We're going to try really hard not to look at Carolyn while we have this conversation. The next 10 minutes is for us to think about what we observed and kind of talk about it in terms of critical feedback and probing questions. Carolyn's not going to respond to the questions. You do not need to respond to all questions. You can take notes on whatever would be helpful. You're going to then kind of have time afterwards to reflect on kind of what you hear. But of course, you don't have to address everything.
In the warm-up, I thought there was some really good moves going on. Surprised, actually, that she got thrown a little when the students didn't go to making a 10, because when they did start to make that 10 and they were using the language of decompose, and how one student even decomposed the 5 into the 3 and the 2 and then made the 10 and then the 2 and the 2 and the 4. I thought that was really high level thinking, and I was very impressed with their academic language, their precise vocabulary, their strategies. I thought I was beaming to see that. So I thought that was really good.
I also really think, like, she didn't change the student's thinking, right?
No.
Like, the student decomposed the 7 into the 2 and the 5, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
where is this going? Right? Like, that's a mistake. But, like, she didn't even make a face. Like, she rolled with it and wrote the 2 and the 5, and then the kid self-corrected.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah, I actually heard a good save.
Yeah.
Next to her name.
Yeah.
And in that too, she asked some questions like, why did you decompose the 8 into 7 and 1? And so I thought that was just really smooth, great questions, and a lot of great dialogue from the students there.
I would agree, and going off of that, the precise and accurate vocabulary that I heard, they were using even and odd, and they were partner talking, and our equations are the same or different. I heard our equations are the same because they're both 12, and we had 6 and 6, and they were equal groups. So they were using, they got the equal groups. They were using odd and even. So I was really impressed with their partner talk, and let me help you.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the warm up for 1 minute though, because I just wonder. Like we didn't record the first students thinking of like the count on strategy with the fingers, right? We recorded the dots, and I thought the dots, like she asked a really good question of like, where did you put the dots in your head, right? To see if they were in a row or they were kind of in that array kind of style. But what happens to the kid when we don't record their thinking, right? And so did that student kind of shut down in the rest of the lesson? I don't know if the kid did or he didn't, but I just, when we do the recordings, being careful whose work are we celebrating and whose work are we not celebrating by posting it, but also trying to get it on one sheet. Like I understand what we're trying to do kind of like with materials. So just thinking about those.
Yeah, maybe
kind of
just writing
moves.
the words counted on.
Yeah, or something to kind of not lose the celebration of that kid's strategy. Especially in this case, because when they went to 7+7, another kid did the same strategy, and we again didn't record that strategy.
Right.
So that strategy is kind of like been pushed down in terms of celebration in the room.
I actually think it was more of the caught up on how do I record that, right? And in first grade, I know that they like might draw a hand, and then show kind of the counting with the fingers on a hand. So it maybe just wasn't prepared to record that type of thinking.
All right, Carolyn, the floor is yours now. So go back to what you were commenting on.
Okay.
That I cut you off on.
Yeah, so I'll start with the warm up. Yeah, in the moment I did want to write down what Elle said about counting on his fingers. I was just like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to represent that on the paper. And then I did want him to feel celebrated, so when another student brought it up, I was like, oh, that's just like, so I guess that was kind of my way to try and acknowledge him. But I do think you made a good point about representing all student work, and I liked the idea of just writing down like count on, so I don't have to draw fingers and hands and stuff. I did also notice some misconceptions that you brought up, Sam. And while we were talking about it, I am wondering if the language of equal add-ends confused some of them and made them think it was even add-ends. So I'm wondering if, like, when I was talking about equal add-ends, just taking a moment to be like, what does equal mean?
We're gonna have just kind of an open conversation for about 3 minutes. During this conversation, we're really thinking about like action steps for each of us to take as a result of kind of this fishbowl process. So anybody can kind of start. So I want everyone, the 3 of you kind of got a chance to kind of share. I want one sentence of what is the action step. So Chris, what is the tight action step that you just said? One thing.
To record all students thinking on one chart or like a one piece of paper to represent their number dogs or even any thinking.
Continue to dive a little deeper into doing the math to determine what misconceptions will arise.
For yourself or with a teacher?
With the teacher.
With the teacher that you're working
With
with
the
in the
teacher I'm
fishbowl.
currently working with, yeah.
Okay.
Be mindful that starting out next year with a new teacher, that I can't jump right in to what possible misconceptions we have to build up to it. So I'm going to be
So what is your first step in that situation?
is to listen to them and recognize when they are ready to receive information from me that possibly could change a little bit of their facilitating.
Carolyn.
I think I had already been like working towards this, so I want to continue working on looking at the math and thinking about specific student misconceptions so that I'm more prepared to like address them before they happen, or have a question or comment ready in the moment.
For all aspects of the lesson or for one to start?
I feel like I'm working on it like for all of it, but I guess like wherever like the like meat of the lesson is. So like maybe like activity 1.
Whatever's the most important
Yeah.
aspect, warm up activity 1, activity
Yeah.
2, wherever it is, focus on there. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my one next action step is like, we had an experience in grade K and grade 1 that I think went really, really well. I'm really excited that like we're doing this work here, but like we need to get the second grade teachers in to see kind of Carolyn's room and go through this process, because I think it's gonna only grow as we kind of do this work next year, and it's a priority. Grade 2 is the priority over grade K and 1 because they had the experience.